All right. So, New Year coming up, which means 2024 about to be closed in those books. About to be thrown in that library that nobody goes to. So, with that being said, I'm trying to think. I was like, hey, other people doing these videos and stuff like that, and everybody being so, wrestling fanatic with it, and I'm just kind of like, whatever. Sure, I don't care. But I want to go ahead, and I was like, we're gonna start off on a good note. Christmas just passed not too long ago. Better go to the New Year's or whatever. And I'm gonna go with my best moments of WWE 2024. This is really probably gonna be more like wrestlers who did really good this year. I was like more so than necessarily like stories and stuff like that. Cause I was like confused because I was like, there hadn't been like too crazy many of them, but so I was like, I think it's just easy to say who got to come up, who got to glow up for basically this 2024. And with that being said, I was like, of course, it's easy to go ahead and do Cody Rhodes. I was like, he finished his story, and even though that there was a portion of the year where it was just kind of like dry. Don't get me wrong, he had really great matches with people, whether that be AJ Styles and Gunther and stuff like that. But he did sort of have a dry spell where it was like, even though he had those matches, we kind of just like foregone conclusion, who's gonna win? That's fine. But so I was like, with that being said, I was like, he got the beginning rocking, and he pretty much got the ending rocking. So Cody Rhodes is going to basically get best of the year. I was like, yeah, he's one of the best that's been going on this year. Another one I have to put in there is Gunther. Yes, he did stuff. I was like, it was basically, he lost his Intercontinental Championship, but that dude came back with a vengeance because he basically went King of the Ring and just wiped through everybody. I mean, wiped through. I thought he was Lil Boots, where everybody he was wiping down. It was crazy. And then he went on to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, yeah, Finn may have got involved a couple times, but that don't matter. He's still champion, isn't he? And yes, while it hasn't been the same level as his Intercontinental Championship reign or nothing like that, Gunther has still been dominant, and he has still been showing you why he's the champion and the ring general, Gunther. I was like, I think he got to get it. And with that being said, I think the person that he beat for the championship, I think you got to give it to Damian Priest as well too. I think that while it was slow and rocky, people were sort of against him. I'm like, people were happy he cashed in the Money in the Bank, because everybody's sort of happy when you cash in that Money in the Bank. Because I'm like, it's a cool thing to do, happen at WrestleMania. But people was sort of like dogging Mans for just having the title and being like, he's a world champion and all the other stuff. But guess what? By the end of his reign, he had turned a lot of people around. He basically was able to have people be like, is he a world champion? To being like, you know what? I can totally now see him every time he's inserted. Not saying that, I'm not saying that we know that he's going to be a multi-world champion. I think he'll get the championship again or whatever. It might be a while, but I understand. But I'm like, but now he's a guy that no matter, like, if he is a number one contender for the championship, you don't feel like it's like a foregone conclusion necessarily, or you feel like he's just like a wasted pick or nothing like that. You actually think like you could go in there and be like, oh, depending on the story or whatever, that, hey, he actually has a chance to come out of this as a victor. And I was like, to me, that's a big ups, considering the fact that you see where Judgment Day was a year ago, and it's like, it's like at this time last year, it was kind of on the rocks. People didn't know if it was still going to be a thing, and they kept strong, and Damian Priest was able to be the leader. They was in all the segments. Yes, that also helps with Rhea as well. But I was like, Judgment Day was on top just because of like Damian having, and they made the storyline out of it. It's a win-win. I sort of wanted to put Judgment Day here because I was like, till about around Bad Blood, I was like, they were on top. They were the hottest story. The Terror Twins and all that other stuff. I want to say they was, and yes, I was like, and now they sort of on plateaued and whatnot, to where it's like, I don't know if you could get them. I don't know if they could be. I'm like, this is kind of tricky because it's like, it's not like it's like, you giving somebody the MVP, where it's like they got to pretty much sustain it throughout the whole year. you kind of can give it to him. You know what? There'll be an honorable mention. I know you're supposed to do it at the end, but hey, it's my video. I don't care. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to give it to him. Coming up out of like nowhere, I want to say it's the New Day. For the most of the year, New Day, whatever. Yeah, they rock, sure, all that other stuff. And now New Day sucks, but it's because that they brought their game towards the end of the year. You know what they are? New Day is basically like that dude, where it's like he just coasting through class or whatever like that. He got all right grades and stuff like that. But then you know that the teacher's like, hey, this test is going to be like 80% of your like whole grade. Guess what? Dude locks in. You like, how did dude pass? He came out with that test. He aced that stuff. I was like, that what New Day did. Because I was like, leading up, you didn't know where they were going to go. You didn't know how it was going to be. You didn't know how the split was going to be at all. You just knew that they would have frustration. And for a while, it just looked like, why are they even bickering? Why are they even going at each other? And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, then they just blow. I was like, then they just blow the roof off. From like their first week, from that first week before, where they were just going at each other, why they haven't had accomplishment, why you suck, why you wasn't a champion, all this other stuff, to basically being like, Biggie, I don't care you broke your neck. You ain't been a good friend to us. Get out. Gave him the Heisman and just told him to ship on with his stuff. I was like, they came out of nowhere in order to be, to try to become the Russian champion. That's basically why I give it to them for it. I was like, while I gave it, I was like, that's why I sort of give it to Judgment Day. Cause I was like, Damian Priest, I was like, Liv, who is with Judgment Day. I was like, she gets it just because I think that Liv is in a different place now than if you would have said something special last year. Or even at the beginning of this year, that whether Rhea really did have a bum shoulder or not, that changed the whole trajectory for Liv to where it's like, I was like, yeah, I know there's Liv stand, I know there are people that don't like Liv. Hey, that's whatever, that's the business. But she's in a different light now than where you could say she was prior to this year. Whole thing is different. I was like, yes, this is the first time I was like, yes, she's being you may say like it may have gone too long with their whole back and forth between them or whatever. But besides that, I was like, she is just different. She is looking different as far as like, she finally sort of, I feel like her wrestling is like improved. And I was like, she got a character now to where the story works. Where I'm just like, it just improved on all levels. To where I'm like I said, I was like, yes, she might not be able to be thrown in the Bianca and Rhea stratosphere, things like that, but you can always put her in like a women's championship match, and you're just like, and I was like, okay, she has sort of solidified herself at being in this spot, at least to me, because I'm like, a lot of these things that I'm like, this is change people, like the thing where people just like, it takes one moment, it takes one story, it takes one thing in order to change the outlook of how people get looked at in this business. And I was like, this was it. This storyline, Liv, changes the whole thing. And with that, you sort of have to throw in by combination the chicken titty slut that is Dominic Mysterio. This dude had heat. This dude kept building heat, steam and heat. Like, that dude kept getting it. And somehow he made it even more nuclear than what it was. I was like, that dude became one of those hot fire chips that makes it where you can't breathe or poop just because it's so damn hot. That's how much that dude got it. And I was like, yes, great. I was like, see, he's still getting heat. It's not at the same level it was around SummerSlam or nothing like that, but it still's at a level. Cause the thing is that dude put a multiplier on top of it. You didn't think it was possible, but he did it. And so that's why I was like, that's why I said it is sort of a Judgment Day combination at the same time with all this. You sort of had to give it to him. Where with Terra Twin and all the other stuff, the SummerSlam angle basically changed a lot of this stuff along with the Liv stuff. So I was like, that's why I said you got to sort of put it in the collective. I was like, I told you this list is going to be a little bit everywhere. I was like, it's not even a list. It's just sort of me just going off the top of my head. Speaking of, Braun Breaker. Talk about a guy that, from the call up, doing a little bit of stuff here on SmackDown, showcasing himself. Yeah, he really fast and whatnot. But once he got on Raw, it basically was just, I was like, no pun intended, he just ran with what he got and just basically just sort of just killed it to the point that he's been an Intercontinental Champion. And I was like, yes, he's dealt with, Sammy, the little bit of thing with Jay, who I'll get to in a minute. But now I was like, in the span of just this year, you already have people basically talking about, like, through this, you could already see him being World Heavyweight Champion. Where people are sort of like already like, oh, can he be the one to beat Gunther? Can he do this next year? And I was like, there's a lot of people in front of him, so I had to take a certain type of storyline to make it work. But the fact that you're already getting thrown in there, you already got the Intercontinental Championship hardware in order to necessarily move up to the next level, basically like what Gunther did. I was like, it's a win for him this year. I was like, it's a win for him this year that already just less than that amount of time. I was like, look, WWE gonna have a good problem to have on their hands with the amount of people and stuff that they gonna have to deal with in these type of situations. Cause I was like, they just made another one as well too. Jey Uso, I think, like, he was already hot, but I was like, but from what you've seen when he faced Damian Priest for the championship, and how they was reacting over there overseas for him, and how the whole, like, everybody just loves it. They do his dance. They can't wait for him to come out, no matter if he come through the crowd or what. To where even like people would have been salivating for him to get his championship, for him to win, for him to make it through the tournament, for him to get all the way to the point that he did get the Intercontinental Championship, even if it was for just a couple of weeks, just to give somebody that little taste of what they needed. He got it, and I was like, he was one of the big, outside of like the main people like Roman, CM Punk, Cody, blah blah. He probably is like their top five. He's top five of the amount of support and all the people that was behind him in such a way that it's almost one of them things where it's like you have to give him a title, but he's also so over that he doesn't also necessarily need it at the same time. I was like, yeah. So I was like, it's these two people, but I gotta throw with the feud of the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. Like that whole thing, their whole beef escalated to the point that the Hell in a Cell match was really great. I was like, the fact that CM Punk is already on top of the world. Bubbles and Drew's also been there right there, but I was like, but this is something that supplants him, because it's like CM Punk's a main man. His whole thing was basically if he could make it through the year without getting hurt, and so far he's done that. But no, I was like, Drew, even though world champion and stuff, and he'd been in main events and stuff like that, it's something like this, like I said, that also can just stamp you as that guy in a company. And I was like, this was it. I was like, he able to eat off this for who knows how long, to where I was like, I don't think it's gonna be necessarily anytime soon, but I do believe he'll win the championship in 2025, a little bit after WrestleMania. I was like, if not, sometime maybe at WrestleMania, considering how any of these plans go, how they got these tops and turns and whatnot. I was like, I don't know if I could give any other honorable mention. I was like, I feel like because I sort of gave it a New Day, I could say Kevin Owens, just because he bringing up the rear of the year. I was like, I don't think it's been long enough for him to. I don't think it's long enough for him to win an award, but I think it's enough to say that he was able to get his name in the hat in order to be pulled out. But I was like, it was just like this. Nia Jax, I was like, supplanting herself this year, going through I was like winning Queen of the Ring, and then once she won the championship, basically just been dominant this whole time. Basically just being running wreck through everybody in the women's division on SmackDown. Um, I was like, see, and I was gonna say, I like Chelsea Green been doing a lot of good work this year too. To where it's like, yeah, had necessarily came and wins, even though she did get the U.S. Championship. But I think she's been doing a lot of good work. To where I was like, she's able basically where the crowd is like, do we boo her or do we cheer her? And I was like, to me, I was like, that says a lot about really herself, getting herself over with the crowd and stuff like that. The way I was like, I feel like that should be a good mention. And Jay, I was like, I was gonna say the new bloodline, because I was like, Solo took, it was rough. It was rough at the very beginning. But when he started talking and when he started doing it, it's like, that he does when he's like, I don't care. His whole mannerism with that. I was like, he's been able to pick up steam, but it's really Jacob Fatu. That dude came in to where it's just like, yo, who he gonna fight? We want to see. And the thing is, he just be beating everybody there, but he ain't been in no matches. That's crazy. I'm just saying that's crazy. I was like, for a dude to come in like that, don't talk. Except I was like, now he did have that dope ass promo where he was talking about Roman Reigns and calling him a fool. I was like, I'll listen to that Jacob Fatu quite a bit. But yeah, no, he came in and with all but he already had the hype that we just ain't, like we was already sort of hyping him up and being like, when he gonna come through and all this other stuff, and he did, and he ain't disappointed. Yeah, I was like, after that, I don't think there's enough for anybody. I can see anybody else doing it. I'm like, yeah, that had best. Everybody else, I was like, there's been a couple people that have had good moments. And Maxine Dupree had after that little BS stuff, I was like, did have a couple good moments. I was like, Chad did have his like good stuff against Sammy, but then they sort of faltered on him. The Wyatts did have a good start, but then that sort of faltered. So you'll sort of hear about some of these things in the worst of 2024. So that's why I was like, some people did have like good bits, and then it just sort of floundered in a way that I'm like, I can't give it to them. I was like, yo, it's probably better for you to like the end strong than the start strong, because I was like, Kevin O New Day came on late. But anyway, let me know what you think. What was who had some of the best who were some of the best wrestlers this year in WWE? That's just like either got themselves over, had good matches, stayed on top, change, whatever it is. Let me know. Because I was like, look, I'm pretty sure I missed some. I was like, those were just some of the ones I like that just off the top of my head. You let me know what you think. But till then, peace. Happy holidays. Woo.